Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's going on, man?
Dude, just coming off a high, seeing Tigres win Liga MX. I'm ready to talk the latest news on USMNT.
Yeah, man, that was a great weekend, crazy weekend watching that matchup, that final in Liga MX. And let's shift gears to USMNT because a lot has happened here in the last 24 hours, in the last, a couple of days. So let's just jump right into it, man. Our first topic here, someone that has quickly become a favorite of us two. Maybe not so much a favorite of everybody that's a USMNT fan, but he was a likable guy and produced some solid results and some solid off-field acquisitions. We're, of course, talking about Anthony and Toño Hudson. He's decided to leave us to pursue another venture. I think you mentioned that he might be going to the Middle East. So, hey, man, Toño Hudson, chase the bag, man. More power to you.
Exactly. No judgment over here.
Yeah. So now we have an interim to the interim coach. Toño Hudson, of course, took over back in January, kind of after the World Cup. It was kind of a month of what's going on, who's going to be the coach, and then the whole scandal with Triple G, with the Reinas. And so Hudson came in at a time where, there was a lot of scandal, a lot of eyes looking at the USMNT, and he kind of was able to steer the ship in the positive direction. His first two games were those January friendlies against Colombia and Serbia. I think he tied Colombia, lost to Serbia. But other than that, man, I think he did really well. He beat Mexico, obviously the U.S.'s biggest rival, in the Phoenix Clásico, All-State Clásico, Continental Clásico. And he had solid results in a couple other matches. What I think will be his biggest legacy is going to be the acquisition of Balogun, the new number 9 for the USMNT. Whatever role he played, I'm sure he was the one that probably led the pursuit of him. We have him to thank for that. It's still obviously too early to see how successful Balogun will be, but it's a new number 9 that everyone in the U.S. fan base is excited for. And without Toño Hudson, man, that wouldn't have been possible. You sad to see this guy go?
Yes, I'm sad to see Toño Hudson leave, man. I was coming around him. I was really enjoying, his press conferences. He was some sort of he was a smart guy, dude. I ain't gonna lie. I think he was. I'm not sure if it was the best match for the job, but he was definitely making a case for himself. Am I gonna miss him on the presses? Yes, I'm gonna miss him. Am I gonna miss his beautiful face on our thumbnails? Of course I will. But hey, I wish Toño Hudson the best. I really hope that he gets all the money that he deserves, and he's able to make leave a mark on the whatever he goes in the Middle East. I don't know if it's gonna be Saudi Arabia or Qatar or the Emirates, but hey, man, Toño Hudson from PPG and Texas. Good luck, man.
Good luck, Toño Hudson. And now let's move on to BJ Callahan. So the unknown, it's funny because it was released earlier today that Crocker, the sporting director, dropped just a bombshell news alert that, hey, Toño Hudson's out. He's been replaced for the interim with BJ Callahan. Who is BJ Callahan? I have no idea. No one seems to know. But he's been apparently with the USMNT for like 4 or 5 years. He's been with them through the Triple G era. He's been with them through the whole Toño Hudson era. He's got experience with the Philadelphia Union Academy, and he served as the first team assistant coach under the now Union manager Jim Curtin. What is there to say about this guy? I don't know. He's just going to be a filler, I'm guessing. Well, I'm assuming for the Gold Cup and the Nations League during the summer, while Crocker and the USMNT higher-ups find a suitable replacement, which, by the way, there's been new developments in that as well. We'll get into. But, yeah, man, I mean, there really isn't much to say about him. I mean, other than, he's worked alongside Anthony Hudson and Triple G, and he has experience with all these players as, being an assistant coach with them. So he knows the current player pool. Wish him luck, obviously. But, it just a random hire from at a random time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this pretty much puts things in the perspective of how the USSF it's the current state of the USSS and US soccer. According to ussoccer.com, he apparently is the right man for the summer. Um, I mean, there's no point of bringing whoever's going to be the next coach, right? There's no point of bringing that coach in right now when you have a very high profile match in your doorstep against Mexico, and then potentially winning the Nations League against Canada. And then also you have a not so huge profile tournament where you're most likely going to have MLS players and maybe Class B European players. Um, but there's no point of bringing him in just because you're going to add pressure to a guy who doesn't have anything, or doesn't have to do anything with this specific, uh, part of the process. So I think it's okay to see, BJ Callahan step in. It kind of, I guess it makes sense. As you mentioned, he knows the team, he knows the player, he knows. I think he was, even well, according to this article that I was reading, apparently he was part of Triple G's strategy assistant coaches. So I guess he understands this time, the game style, the style of play that they're trying to implement for the last few years. So look, man, BJ Callahan, we wish you luck, dude. If you lose, don't sweat it. I guess. I mean, you're gonna be out anyways, right?
Right. Now, but you bring up a good point. Why bring in a new manager, a high profile manager, straight into the fire against Mexico
Hmm.
and all that pressure? And, if he loses to Mexico, you start off on the bad foot, right? So,
Hmm.
keep somebody that's kind of familiar with the players, familiar with the system, and kind of keep that Triple G slash Toño Hudson DNA for now. And let's kind of inject the new manager as soon as the Gold Cup ends and start
Hmm.
that process then.
I agree.
Yeah, good point. Speaking of managers and candidates, last week's episode we kind of covered Jesse Marsch as the leading candidate, and that's kind of completely taken at 180. There's been rumors from reputable sources saying that he's on the radar for Monaco and Ligue 1 in France,
Hmm.
and that's kind of coming out of nowhere. We had all kind of said that he was the leading candidate for the USMNT, and now there's this high, there's this rumor that's kind of just circulating, and it has a lot of basis to it. So we'll see what happens with Jesse Marsch. I think we've talked a lot about Jesse Marsch here in the past couple months, especially in the past couple weeks. So we'll leave it at we'll keep following the story. We'll update you guys as that develops, and we'll see what happens with Marsch for sure. We know the fan base is kind of split on him. Some of the fans
Yeah.
kind of say he's the best, person for the job for the USMNT just because he's American. He's had experience in Europe, probably the most successful coach in Europe. That's an American. But some others are trying to say, hey, let's hire outside of the America only crew. Let's at least interview other player or other coaches and see where that can take us. So we'll see what happens with Jesse Marsch. I think Monaco would be a cool opportunity for him, but I don't know if he's more attracted to the possibility of a long-term project with USMNT for a World Cup versus, hey, maybe I might get sacked in 8 months like I did in Leeds. So um,
Dude.
we'll
Jeez, I
see.
mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But we'll make sure to update everybody listening here as we get more news. Adrian, another thing that released today was the upcoming, well, not upcoming, but later this year, there's going to be two fall friendlies in October. What can you
Hmm.
tell the PPG squad about?
I think the PPG Nation and the USMNT fans are well, they should be well, not rejoicing, but they should be glad that the USSF is actually doing something right and trying to get some high caliber matches, friendlies for the USMNT. They're going to be playing in October against Germany and Ghana. So I mean, even if Germany, maybe even if it's not the best Germany for the last, I don't know, 10 years or whatever the case may be, it's still Germany, right? It's still a good team. It's still way better than playing against Guatemala or freaking, I don't know, Suriname or whatever Mexico is playing against with. And then Ghana is also, a strong team from Africa. So most of the players play in Europe, on the Premier League, on the Ligue 1. So these are good challenges for the USMNT to test the water to see, how much the European players have advanced in their performance, and if the USMNT is catching up to those, elite squads in the world. But the USMNT nation of fans should be, rubbing their hands for these matches.
Yeah, two high-profile opponents. Germany, obviously, no introduction, and Ghana has been the US's one of their main rivals in World Cups for the past four or
Hmm.
five, three or four World Cups. They've been knocked out by Ghana twice, and most recently they knocked Ghana out. So there's definitely no shortage of conocimiento there of knowingness between the two teams. Um, so those are exciting friendlies. Definitely better than having to watch them play, like you said, CONCACAF opposition constantly. And we'll see if they're official FIFA friendlies or if they're kind of just non-official. I don't know if that's been released yet, but definitely two matches to keep an eye on for later this year in October. And as we wrap things up, man, currently we know that the U20 World Cup is going on. The USA has been completely dominating, won all three of their
Hmm.
group stage matches without conceding a goal, and then just recently beat New Zealand 4-0 in their round of 16 match to qualify to the quarters. They're now in the final eight teams of the U20 World Cup. Their future opponent is still not known, but it will be shortly. So we'll be continuing following them, wishing them the best of luck. They're doing well. El Caballo Cal is killing it out there. Gasolina's killing
Yeah.
it. Jogo, a lot of players we saw under Toño Hudson, be recruited or be called up in the last couple of months to the main men's team. So it's
Hmm.
cool to see, how young, you kind of step back and see, oh man, these guys are still, under 20 years old or 20 years old.
Hmm.
And they already have first team men's experience and they're still playing at a U20 World Cup. So, were you able to catch any of those games?
I haven't been able to catch a full game. I haven't been able to, sit down and watch maybe like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, half of a match. But I do want to mention something that caught my attention. I wasn't under the impression that this was, the, I guess, best under 20 team that the USMNT had available, but it looks like it isn't. It looks like around 20 players weren't allowed to leave their clubs and play with the under 20s USMNT. I heard that like a bunch of MLS teams said no to the USSF. Same thing with some of the European teams, just saying straight no to the USSF. So it's I think it's a I don't think it's a bad news. I think it's good news because it shows that there's depth in the future of the USMNT, right? I mean, if this is the B team of the under 20s and they're having this performance, they're crushing the under 20 World Cup and they're showing up to put up a good fight against the big teams on that specific category, then I'm satisfied, man. I think things are looking up great for the USMNT in the near, mid, and long term future. So I'm gonna make an effort to catch more of these games as they move into the second round.
Yeah, definitely. You bring up a good point. We know that one of the high-profile players that wasn't selected was Ricardo Pepi. So, I mean, somebody that's been with the USMNT for the last 2 or 3 years already, and he still could be able to qualify for the
Hmm.
U20 World Cup. It's crazy how much talent they have in the works.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that tournament, see how that develops, see if they can go all the way. That'd be awesome. It would be their first World Cup, victory. We know obviously Mexico has had success in the under World Cups, specifically the under 17s. So maybe USA can have some similar success here at the U20 World Cup. We'll definitely keep an eye on that performance. Adrian, man, as we wrap it up here, where can our listeners find us?
Dude, you can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts on. And you should also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yes, sir. Make sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice, and let us know in the comments below. What do you think of the USMNT U20? Can they go all the way at this World Cup? Um, drop your best wishes to Toño Hudson, your thanks, your good lucks down there for him, and let us know what you think of BJ Callahan here. Um, but anyway, Adrian, another packed episode here. That a lot to discuss from the last week. So
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure again with you, man. See you in the next one.
As always, dude. Have a good one.
See you, bro.